Before I get started with today's video, I just want to tell you to please subscribe or follow me on two different platforms. Number one, Patreon, and number two, Instagram. The links are in the description below. As you know, on Patreon, I put out a new video every week just for my Patreon subscribers. And Instagram, well, I started doing that because it turns out that I'm going to be traveling quite a bit, and I figured that it would be fun to take pictures and have a little registrar of all the things I'll be doing over the next few months. Yeah, and so it's just I don't know if I'm really going to keep it up, but for now I am keeping it up. So please go and subscribe to the Instagram. So those two things. So let's get started with the video. Now, suppose you're at a roulette table at a casino. You're at a roulette table, and there are, what are the numbers on a roulette table? There are 36 numbers, right? 36 slots plus 0 and double 0, right? So in total, actually, there are 38 slots, but all of the slots are identical or almost identical. I'm sure that if you took like a micrometer or something like that, you would figure out that some of the slots are ever so slightly larger than other of the slots, but all in all, they're pretty much the same, right? Now the ball spins around the wheel, and eventually it starts clattering and clacking, and eventually it falls into one of those 38 slots, right? It could have been any one of those slots, but it happens to fall on one. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that it falls on the number 17, slot number 17, right? Now, all of the slots were identical. So does that mean that slot number 17, that in fact got the ball, is slot 17 somehow superior to all the other slots? No, of course not. It would be, in fact, absurd to think so. Absurd to think that one slot is superior to any of the other slots. For whatever reasons of luck, the ball landed on number 17, but that doesn't mean that 17 is that much better than all of the other numbers, the number, say, 24 or 36 or 8 or whatever. They're all the same. The ball just happened to land on number 17, right? Same with people's good fortune. See, we're all more or less the same in different aspects of our lives. Say, for instance, YouTubers. I'm a YouTuber. I do YouTube content, and I'm pretty much the same as all of the other YouTubers who are struggling to succeed. I'm sure that there are a number of them that produce content that is as good as mine, if not better. And I am sure that some of those content creators who are creating content as good as mine, if not better, have a lot fewer subscribers. I'm betting that some of them have tried for a while and then just given it up because they haven't gotten any kind of success. No followers, no views, nothing, right? Does that mean that I'm better than him? No, of course not. It'd be absurd to think so. It'd be absurd to think that I'm better than some other YouTuber just because I happen to have a larger audience. I'm more fortunate, but doesn't mean that I'm better. And like I said, there are lots of content creators, and in fact, I can name channels right now where their content I personally think is better than mine. A lot better than mine, some of it. And yet they only have a few thousand followers, sometimes less than 1,000. There are many channels that produce really, really good content. It's just a matter of luck that my channel has gotten a lot of followers, a lot of people like you who are watching, but it doesn't mean that I'm better. You see what I'm saying? See, but the problem is that a lot of guys who succeed in whatever it is that they're doing, they start thinking that they are better. They start acting arrogant. They start being complete dickheads, to tell you the truth. And this is normal, okay? I mean, how many times have you met some guy, some rich guy, some guy who's like a successful hedge fund manager or some shit, some successful banker or lawyer or whatever the fuck, and the guy is just the biggest fucking dickhead. I mean, it's like his skull is a bellend, literally, huh? How many guys have you met like that? Because I've met tons. And it's normal. It's aggravatingly predictable. And let me explain why. Think of the slot I mentioned at the beginning of this video, slot number 17. Slot number 17 was pretty much the same as all the other slots. There's not really much difference between slot number 16, slot number 17, and slot number 18, or all of the other slots for that matter. The ball just simply happened to land on number 17, right? For reasons that are beyond the control of slot number 17. It just fell there by luck, right? But see, the arrogance that slot number 17 feels is because it fell in his slot. He got the ball. And so he thinks that it's because of him, that he's special. He doesn't realize that right next to him was slot number 16, and right here was slot number 18. And they got nothing. Not because they were less than him. They got nothing because number 17 got lucky. That's it. It's not that number 17 was better. He was just luckier. But see, when you're slot number 17 and you get the ball, you don't realize this. Because you've been so preoccupied with succeeding, you've been striving and working so hard without paying attention to what everybody else is doing, that you tend to think that it's because of you, of your inherent qualities, that you are better than everybody else. You fail to see that you're just one more of a very large pool of identical people, or people who are virtually identical, like the slots on a roulette wheel. Yeah, they are all identical. The variations so tiny that they're practically microscopic. And the ball lands with one guy achieves a success. It's not because of him, yeah? But he doesn't see that because he's been blinded by the work he's been doing. Do I mean to say that the guy who gets the ball, slot number 17, am I saying that he didn't deserve it? No, see? If you work hard and you have bright ideas and you give it your all and you succeed, well, of course you deserve that success. I'm not saying otherwise. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that you have to recognize the element of luck. You have to recognize that there are tons of other people who work just as hard as you, who are just as smart as you, who failed. And therefore, you are not special when you are compared to all the other people like you who were striving after the thing that you were lucky enough to get. But see, since the successful guy, the number 17, he doesn't see this, he doesn't understand it, he doesn't recognize the struggle of all the other people around him who failed whereas he succeeded, what happens is that he starts thinking that it's because of him, and so he starts to lord it over people, and he starts acting like a dickhead. He starts acting like an asshole. He starts acting like, I don't need to explain it anymore now, do I? Yeah. And he starts buying his own bullshit. Yeah, because see, we all go around projecting onto people that we're so great and capable and this, that, the other, right? We go out and project this. And we don't really believe it. Not really. We say this shit. We say, oh yes sir, I can do this. I can manage this project or do this thing for you or be a great supplier to your company or whatever the fuck. We lie our asses off, right? Because we're not really sure, but we figure, fuck it, we're gonna lie so that we get the sale, so that we get our foot in the door, right? And then after a while, we're able to do it, and all the rest of it. And so we start to think to ourselves, well, maybe, the bullshit that I was saying, it's not actually bullshit. It's true. I am this brilliant guy, and I can do everything. And that's where the successful guy gets into trouble. Yeah, when he starts buying his own brand of bullshit, which of course happens when you fall into arrogance, the trap of arrogance, which of course happens when you succeed. Yeah, see? Because you succeeded and you think, oh yeah, I can do this. And you start believing your own bullshit, and you start spouting more bullshit, and it's bullshit that you can't cover. Your mouth is putting out checks your body can't cash. You see what I'm saying? And this is where the fall happens, see? This inevitably happens to arrogant guys. Arrogant guys who had a little bit of success. They had a little bit of success, and they start bullshitting and getting a big head, right? And well, eventually, eventually that big head, it's full of hot air, and of course it pops. Yeah, it happened to me. Oh yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When I started as a writer, I had enormous success very quickly, and it was luck. And because of the success, I started acting like an asshole. And I started, thinking I could do things that were really beyond my reach, really beyond my scope. And I started acting like a complete dickhead. And I'm just terribly embarrassed about it. And to be talking to you about it embarrasses me even further. I mean, to remember what kind of a dickhead I used to be. Oof, it just makes me cringe, right? And of course, my big head popped. Yeah, I suffered a fall, absolutely. And retrospectively, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Well, let me explain. See, I succeeded, yeah? I succeeded big time. And then I failed. Yeah, I failed because I was an arrogant dickhead, and I went right down the tubes. Oh yeah. And I went right down the tubes, and it was a humbling experience, no joke. It was really humbling to recognize that, I wasn't all that and more. No. It was humbling, extremely humbling. And then when I clawed my way back up, when I achieved success for the second time, I was fortunate enough, blessed, to realize how hard it is to succeed and how fickle success really is. And because of it, two things happened. Number one, I wasn't an asshole the second time around. Oh no, I acquired a hard-earned humility. I recognized that the success I'd been blessed with the second time around was just even bigger fucking luck. Oh yeah, because few guys achieve big success once in their lives. To have achieved it twice, holy shit, right? So it made me very humble. Very humble, which is a good thing. And number two, it made me much more appreciative of what I have. Appreciative of what I have, and focused more on what's important, as opposed to the bells and whistles of success, the toys of success, the clutter, the tchotchkes of success that don't really help you much, that don't really improve your life. I started recognizing that which is really important, i.e. the people in your life, as opposed to the little trinkets and objects in your life, the things that people think are the measure of success, but are just really the distractions of success. But see, everybody who's gone through success falls into this trap of arrogance. It's the rare guy who's able to sort of like step back and realize what an arrogant dick he's being, and sort of like correct it without having to suffer failure in order to learn that lesson in humility, to learn that lesson of that which is important and that which is not. You see what I'm saying? I think of like Steve Jobs. I'm not comparing myself to him, but Steve Jobs was a very successful guy. And he was doing very well in Apple, and then he brought on John Scully, and John Scully and the board of directors eventually just kicked him out of the company, right? And it was because of that, okay, a relative failure, because he wasn't like, dumpster diving to find his next meal. I mean, he was like, he was still a multi-millionaire, hundreds of millions of dollars, right? But because of that failure, he got some humility and some understanding of things. And I suspect, and it would have been great to have asked him this, that failure, him getting kicked out of Apple, must have taught him much, much more than success ever did. Oh yeah. Because you see, success doesn't teach you anything. Not really. Okay? Success, being successful in anything, yeah, you're successful, but you're slot number 17. You were working hard and the ball landed in your lap. But what did you learn? Nothing. Not really. It's only failure. That's the only teacher that you'll ever have in life. And that's why accumulating failures is so important. You see what I'm saying? And I've been talking about this quite a bit insofar as practice, how important practice is, how important it is to practice and to fail, and to work at those things that you are failing at. Because you see, it's only by way of failure that you're going to internalize lessons. See what I'm saying? Man, I don't feel I'm doing this video very well. I think that this is going to be, well, another failure. Another failure. I had all my ideas all mapped out and planned out, but I don't feel that I'm putting them across the way I want to, or as elegantly as I would like to. I want my video, this video, all my videos, to be like the smooth and perfect monologue where I talk from beginning to end and I just say it perfectly. And you who are listening, you hear my words and you internalize it like liquid going into a container, and it just fills you up and fills you with understanding that will help you. I mean, that's what I want. But of course I don't achieve that. Yeah? It's sort of like hit or miss, or like trying. I feel like I'm like with a hammer trying to bang out a piece of metal into the shape of something, delicate and perfect and pristine, instead of just get like this banged up little shell that sort of like intimates what I'm trying to say, but doesn't really get to it. And you see how I fail? You see how important failure is? Huh? Yeah, failure is important. It's the key issue. If you find yourself acting like a dickhead, if you find yourself, you're successful and you got zeros in the bank, right? And people smile at you and they want to shake your hand and they think that you're all that and more. And you catch yourself acting like a dickhead and talking like a know-it-all and acting towards other people with more humble occupations than your own. Talking to them in a condescending way, in a disrespectful way, looking down on them. That's when you have to stop. And you have to stop and look at yourself. And you have to ask yourself, hand to heart, are you that fucking great that you can look down on other people and belittle other people and perhaps even humiliate and insult them? Are you that fucking great? That fucking better than they are? Because if you're that superior, well, okay, fine. Okay, you're so superior that you can belittle others and insult them and make them feel like shit. If you're so superior. But if you're not, then you're just an asshole now, aren't you? And here's the funny thing, even the guys who really are superior, the guys who really are fucking geniuses and who, by every metric are superior to the waiter, the baggage handler, the taxi driver, guys who are objectively better, right? They make it a point never to be an asshole, to never act in that arrogant and despective way towards others. Because it's just fucking wrong.